street vendors are tearing down the road on their electric tricycles. What's going on here? Oh, I see now. The city management officers are back, and they're seizing stuff again. This young vendor has even run out of his shoes. And over there, that vendor's cart has toppled over. Look at this vendor couple just holding each other and crying. What a scene.
Here we go. All right. Keep up with me. I swear I've never run this fast my entire life. Eating a meal feels like committing a theft. Boss, is it really worth the money, exhausting yourself like this? Earning money isn't important. What matters is the thrill.
In a street-side food stall, a vendor fries noodles while keeping a vigilant eye on the local urban management officers. In a split second upon stopping them, he swiftly abandons his cooking utensils, hops into his cart, and speeds away, leaving the awaiting customers to chase behind. One customer remarks, "I've never run this fast for a meal in my entire life." On the first day of setting up my stall, it felt like I was committing a theft, anxious and on edge. On the second day, I was terrified of a sudden attack from the urban management officers. On the third day, they confiscated my food cart. My efforts over these days were all in vain, so I tried to retrieve my cart from them in the evening. They don't allow outsiders, but I was desperate. My belongings were confiscated. The confiscated items are stored in a parking lot quite far from here, and I haven't gotten them back yet. You won't be able to see your belongings even if you go in. Life is so hard, isn't it? Just trying to run a small, honest business is incredibly tough.
When the urban management officers arrived, we had just bought a portion of tofu. My tofu wasn't ready yet when the stall owner took off. I had to chase after my tofu on an electric scooter.
A young man buys stinky tofu at a food stall. Just after he pays, urban management officers arrive for an inspection. The stall owner escapes, leaving his customers behind. "Do you want it spicy or not? Are you just going to leave? I've already paid." "I'll deliver it to you right away." The food stall owner makes a quick getaway upon seeing urban management officers, leaving the customer bewildered and rooted to the spot. In the People's Republic of China, netizens have sarcastically dubbed urban management officers as China's Hamas, prompting food vendors to flee at the mere sight of them. "I haven't received my grilled gluten yet. Why did he run away?" In China, the common people, who pay taxes to support the government, inevitably become targets for the government to exploit in order to secure fiscal revenue. We've discussed in previous videos how, in Changchun City, the traffic department increased the issuance of traffic tickets to supplement fiscal revenue. In this episode, we delve into China's street economy and how the government generates income through confiscating vendors' property and imposing fines. At the beginning of this year, due to the lack of expected economic rebound following 3 years of the pandemic, the authorities had no choice but to revisit the street economy initiative, previously rejected in 2020, to alleviate the dire economic situation. Following the policy's implementation, major cities like Beijing and Shanghai loosened regulations, allowing vendors to operate in more public areas, while other major cities like Hangzhou followed suit. The struggling common folk, taking the policy at face value, set up their stalls in the hope of making a living, only to face relentless suppression and fines from local urban management officers. In present-day China, consistency and uniformity in policy implementation are severely lacking. While there may be policies at the top, they merely serve as a facade to maintain a semblance of peace. At the ground level, the reality that common folk face is a strategy of fines and penalties.
I have parents above me and children below. I beg you, big brother, can you not find me? It's not just me doing this. Why do you have to find me? Big brother, please spare me.
A small vendor, unable to afford hefty fines, pleads on his knees for law enforcement officers to show mercy. A young man setting up a street stall in Chengdu faces the harsh reality of confiscation. "Are you scared?" "Not scared. I was just about to buy a scallion pancake with egg when the urban management officers arrived. The vendors all scattered in every direction. I guess the child was waiting there for her mom to come and pick her up. Because it was my first time there, I didn't really know the area. I was holding the stall owner's child and went chasing after her to give her child back. I think it's really not easy for a mom to be out here with her child." In China, the Civilized City campaign has raised questions about the viability of the street stall economy. The Chinese Communist Party's long-term policy contradictions have left the common people living in a tight spot. On one hand, they encourage people to set up street stalls to start their own businesses, but on the other hand, they also promote the Civilized City campaign, making street vendors the target once again. Thus, in China, setting up a street stall not only prevents you from making money, but also exposes you to the risk of having your personal belongings confiscated and facing hefty fines. In the face of the CCP's Civilized City campaign, the interests of the people are always the last to be considered. The government's Civilized City efforts are merely a face-saving project performed for the people and the world. As a netizen summarized, civilized city? The hallmark of modern civilization is that public power is subject to the law, individual basic rights are protected, vulnerable groups are assisted, and everyone has the right to live free from fear. That is true civilization. Recently, local governments in China have been busy waging a financial defense war, employing various means to maintain fiscal stability. The issue of China's fiscal crisis has become an open secret worldwide. Some local governments have revisited the street stall economy, while others have already begun to lay off public servants secretly. At the end of October, the Jiangsu Provincial Department of Human Resources and Social Security, Development and Reform Commission, Department of Education, and 14 other departments jointly issued a notice deciding to implement a key group entrepreneurship promotion campaign across the province, aiming to support 200,000 successful entrepreneurs annually by 2025. The focus of public attention in the document is the policies enjoyed by specific groups. For professional and technical personnel in public institutions in Jiangsu Province, if they leave their post to start a business, they can keep a relationship with their Human Resources Department for up to 3 years. During this period, they can continue to contribute to Social Security and occupational pensions at their original workplaces, advance in salary grades as normal, accumulate years of service, and even participate in professional title evaluations and promotions. Upon the release of this news, netizens speculated, has the so-called iron rice bowl begun to crack? Is this a disguised form of layoffs? According to the latest data from China's National Bureau of Statistics on April 25th, from 2013 to 2021, the number of employed persons in urban units in China fell from about 180 million to 170 million. However, the number of personnel in the public sector, including education, public management, social security, and social organizations, rose from about 33 million to about 40 million, now accounting for about 23% of the employed population. It can be said that 23% of China's employed population is living off the state. Mr. Song, a Beijing resident, commented, "Since its establishment, its institutions have become increasingly bloated and oversized. It has now reached an astonishing level. As far as I know, in the history of humanity, or in more than 3,000 years of Chinese history, there has never been such a bloated, people overstaffed, and officials overstaffed bureaucratic structure sucking the blood of the people." Due to China's long-standing issue of data falsification, it is difficult for outsiders to obtain accurate figures on the number of people living off the state in China. However, from the current data, it's not difficult to see that the large number of public servants and incessant corruption are important reasons for the national financial crisis and the heavy burden on the people. With respect to the policies implemented by Jiangsu Province, media commentary has noted that the national fiscal budget can no longer sustain such a large population. These policies are perceived as reassurance to superfluous personnel within the system, effectively reducing the opportunity cost for staff members to leave their positions and start their own businesses. This not only allows them to confidently and boldly venture into the business world with their scientific research achievements, but also helps in reducing the financial burden on government departments caused by surplus staff. At the same time, civil servants who choose to venture into business contribute additional entrepreneurial tax revenue, presenting a multifaceted gain for the government. Some netizens have described this policy as a disguised form of layoff, pushing the government-supported idle staff to contribute to the nation through business ventures. However, the increasingly aware Chinese populace has expressed support for this policy but shown reluctance in taking action. The official Weibo account of China Finance Online commented that the policy's inability to gain traction, despite being well received, could be attributed to the post-pandemic recession and various personal factors. These include concerns over the stability of entrepreneurship and a lack of business knowledge and skills, leading to a competency panic. The latter issue is largely related to the ambiguity and lack of practicality in the details of the related policies. Some netizens remarked, "This policy has been around for many years. It's essentially a suspension of pay while retaining the position. It was quite fashionable back in the day, and now it's making a comeback?" Another added, "There were similar policies in the past. Some people succeeded in the entrepreneurial endeavors and never returned, while others came back after failing." In fact, a wave of entrepreneurship swept across China in the 1990s following a series of speeches during the Southern Tour by Chinese leaders. Many well-known figures in the business world today, such as Chen Dongsheng from Taikang Life Insurance, Guo Guangchang from Fosun International Limited, and Feng Lun from Vantone Holdings, were among those who left their secure jobs to venture into business. The policy at the time aimed to revitalize the Chinese economy. The reuse of this approach today, to some extent, validates netizen speculation about a regression in the Chinese economy to its pre-1990s state of poverty, or possibly even worse. Using the 1990s approach to stimulate the economy raises questions about whether the Chinese Communist Party can recover the economy. Fundamentally, both in the 1990s and today, the Chinese economy is driven by foreign trade. Real estate is linked to the upstream and downstream sectors of foreign trade, serving as a financial leverage for countless professionals. Infrastructure redevelopment is a redistribution of wealth generated by foreign trade and real estate. Consumption extends from foreign trade, with the internet being an extension of consumption and finance, supporting e-commerce, financial technology, social networking, and delivery services. Industries such as biopharmaceuticals, semiconductors, advanced technology, and high-end manufacturing also depend on the profits from foreign trade and consumption. It's crucial to note that in recent years, the international tensions involving the Chinese Communist Party have led to a depression in the foreign trade sector, with numerous foreign companies withdrawing from China. The Chinese authorities' crackdown on real estate developers has resulted in a nationwide real estate crisis, straining local government finances. The 3 years of the pandemic, exacerbated by extreme lockdown measures, have devastated China's physical economy, leading to widespread business closures and unemployment. In light of these circumstances, it's unsurprising that China's national finances are under significant strain. The economic leap in the 1990s was made possible by the reform and opening up policy, which transformed China's economic environment and opened up channels for foreign trade, injecting tremendous momentum into economic growth. However, attempting to stimulate economic development and increase tax revenue by encouraging civil servants to start businesses without altering China's current dire economic environment inevitably shifts the burdens to workers. Besides Jiangsu province implementing covert layoffs, other provinces have also started cleaning up their personnel rosters. According to a report from China News Weekly on March 25th, the Office of the Organization and Staffing Committee in Harbin, Heilongjiang Province, announced that city-level government and public institutions have initiated a cleanup of personnel employed outside the official staffing system. As per the work plan, this effort began in March and would conclude at the end of June. The target of the special rectification action includes current employees, industry-specific staff, manual laborers, and self-hired personnel at Harbin city-level government offices and municipal public institutions. Official staff typically refers to formal employees of various levels and types of government offices, public institutions, and certain special organizations whose expenses are covered by the National Treasury. In contrast, those employed outside the official system are personnel hired temporarily or permanently for government projects, and they do not receive the same remuneration and benefits as official staff. It has been reported that prior to the cleanup of outside staff, Harbin had undertaken at least 2 rounds of public institution reform in recent years, making adjustments to the staffing of government and public institutions. Ma Liang, a professor at the School of Public Administration and Policy at Renmin University of China, notes that this phenomenon of reducing outside staffing is not unique to Harbin. Similar instances can be observed in developed coastal provinces and are quite common nationwide. In addition to Harbin, cities like Tongcheng in Anhui Province, Fangshan in Hubei Province, Wanning in Hainan Province, and others have already started the cleanup of outside personnel. Professor Nier Huihua from the School of Economics at Renmin University of China believes that there are 2 reasons behind local government's nationwide cleanup of both official and outside personnel. First, the central government has decided to streamline staffing, prompting actions from local governments. Since official and outside staffing are closely related, a cleanup of outside staffing may further lead to a reduction in official staff. Second, local government finances are tight after the pandemic, with costs rising. At the beginning of this year, China's Ministry of Finance had mentioned that tightening belts would be a long-term government policy. On March 1st, Liu Qun, the Minister of Finance, emphasized at a press conference that ensuring government and party organs tighten their belts should remain unswerving, adding that tightening belts in government is not a short-term countermeasure but a guideline and policy that should be adhered to in the long run. He also mentioned that the Ministry of Finance would strictly budget, cutting and canceling inefficient and ineffective expenditures, urging local governments to advance the evaluation system for austerity and striving to reduce administrative costs. The move by local governments to begin addressing the issue of idle civil servants does not merely follow central government policies, but also reflects a clear understanding that the central government will not bail out local governments. The central government has previously stated everyone should take care of their own children, implying that local governments should be responsible for their own financial difficulties. Faced with substantial fiscal deficits, local governments have no choice but to downsize. Some local government departments, urban investment companies, and state-owned enterprises have also shifted toward a self-reliance model. Numerous state-owned enterprises and urban investment platforms in Jiangsu province have announced their withdrawal from government financing platforms, committing to be responsible for their own profits and losses. They have also clarified that the government will not bear any responsibility for debts incurred in the future. This includes more than 200 companies such as Pizhou Transportation Engineering Company, Pizhou Yuantong Public Transportation Company, and others in Jiangsu Province. In response to this phenomenon, netizens have voiced their opinions extensively. A user named Southgate Guardian commented, "The fundamental reason why urban investment companies in developed regions are withdrawing from government platforms is to evade policy-level supervision, making financing and investment more convenient. In essence, they remain the strong arms of local governments. Due to the strong economic power and convenient financing in developed regions, the benefits of leaving the list outweigh the disadvantages. However, for urban investment companies in less developed areas, withdrawing from the list leads to even more backward financing capabilities, and the debt issued by the original platforms remain unresolved." Another user believes that government projects will be assigned to urban investment companies, which will then subcontract to other companies. In this way, the operations and debts will fall under the urban investment companies, and the government will no longer bear the burdens of such debts. From netizens' comments, it's evident that the withdrawal of urban investment companies and state-owned enterprises is highly beneficial to the government. It not only reduces the number of debts backed by the government and lowers the risk of the government assuming future liabilities of these enterprises, but also facilitates future collaborations and financing between the government, urban investment companies, and state-owned enterprises. This can be regarded as another subtle measure by local governments to alleviate fiscal pressure.